So I did a lot of backpacking trips in 2019, not as much as 2018, but still quite a few. And I wanted to show you the gear that was my favorite gear to use in 2019. Now this is not the best gear of 2019. Gear is all up to you and your choice, your preferences. This is my favorite gear of what I use this year. Your list could be something different, which is okay. But let's get into it. Let's get into what gear I really liked in 2019. First off, this backpack here was primarily my backpack of choice in 2019. It is the 6 Moon Designs minimalist backpack. I think it weighs somewhere right around 34 ounces. This thing is super comfortable. There's not too much room in the lid here. The lid is not removable, the brain, whatever you want to call it. But it was enough room for all the gear that I carried this year. I've got a big pocket here, which I can put a water bottle in. I already took it out. On this side, I've got myself a Halinox chair, which we'll go over here in a minute. And then you got two big hip belt pockets, which were great. I carry a lot of gear in there. I can put my phone in there. Right now I think I've got my key, my knife in here, a little Benchmade knife. Thank you, Matt, for that. In here I usually have some stickers, some cards, sometimes phones. Like right now I've got my little business cards I pass out. I've got a couple of these I pass out on the trail, some 6 Moon Design stickers. I threw in some of my batteries. And then I've got my Peak Design clip on here, but usually I'll carry my Garmin out here, and you've got these little pockets for snacks and whatnot. And let me show you another thing that's another favorite piece of gear of mine. You're probably seeing it right now. A Justin's water bottle holder, ultralight water bottle holder. Right now I've just got a little Dasani in there with some, it's like a keto mix, so I get some energy there. But this fits the 1 liter bottles perfect. And it's a nice addition to any backpack. It's a Justin's ultralight water bottle holder. Check it out on Etsy. I'll put a link to that. So let's get into what else I have in the pack and what other gear I really liked. Next piece of gear is going to be this right here, the Garmin INREACH Mini. I love this thing. I take it on every hike I go on, every backpacking trip, even off-roading just in case. Luckily I haven't had to use that yet, the SOS button, which all I'd have to do is pop that open, push that button, and then I can actually communicate with search and rescue when they're coming for me or somebody else that may be hurt. But it's a great piece of gear. Like I said, take it on every trip. I do have to pair it with my smartphone if I want to send out messages that are longer that I want to type out. Otherwise, I can just go in here. I've got some presets which are free. I have 3. One says started hiking for the day. Next one's enjoying camp for the night. And another one says made it off the trail. Those are my 3 messages that I use constantly. I change them sometimes trip to trip. And I also change who gets them. I have to go into the Garmin InReach app. I can change who gets them depending on who's on the trip with me. Say somebody's wife wants messages, so I've got his wife's cell phone number in there, maybe somebody's mom or girlfriend. Those messages go out to them, letting them know we're out there safely. I also can hook it up to my Facebook page, and if you're subscribed to my Facebook page, you can actually check that out and get some of the messages and seeing where I'm at on the trail. I'll do that from time to time on some bigger trips. Another piece of gear are these little cube pods made by 6 Moon Designs. They come in a 3-pack, different colors. You don't get to choose the colors. They come in 3 different colors. I use these usually to put some of my clothes in for the trip, and they work out great. Usually fit some of my long johns in there, some extra underwear, clothes like socks and so on. And I'll bring one of these on each trip, and they go in my backpack every time. Inside here today is not clothes, however, but some of the other items I really like. One right here is the Black Rock Woolly. I got this for my birthday, and I've been waiting for one of these for a long time. So that is a Black Rock Woolly. Great piece of gear. This thing, I take off my hat there and show you, but it keeps me warm. It's a wool product. This thing is not too tight but not too loose either. It doesn't like pull on my head and give me a headache, but I can keep it on. It feels great. I can hike with it all day. Take it off, it dries off pretty quick. Put this back on. Next piece of gear is my pillow. It is the EXPED Air Pillow XL. I've been in search for a pillow that I would like for years, and this finally is it. It's probably the most comfortable pillow I have used in the backcountry. I probably should do a review on it. There'll be a link below. Actually, there's a link below to everything here down below where you can check it out, check out the specs and everything. But that is EXPED Air Pillow XL. That is definitely my favorite pillow that I've used so far for the past few years. The only thing that gets better comfort than this is my pillow at home. Next, this is a cool little item. This is the Goal Zero Crush Light. I use this in my tent at night when I'm backpacking. It's solar powered, so I can leave it out in the sun if we're exploring around camp to charge or on the back of my pack. It's got a few different modes in there. I can light it up. One of the things I really like is it's got what's called a candlelight mode. And once it's on, if I hold the power button for a little bit, it'll switch to that and it flickers. It's hard to see out here because it's daylight, but this will flicker like a candlelight. So I'll put it in my tent while it's dark out. We're maybe around a campfire eating food for the night. This hangs up in there and it flickers like I've got a candle in there. That's pretty neat. But it is solar power. It crushes down. It's actually lighter than a Lucy light, which is really neat. And if I say I don't want a solar power to charge it, it's got a little charging mount right here that I can charge with. That is a Goal Zero Crush Light. And then last but not least in the bag is my favorite stove. Most of you probably already know what that is. Let me pull it out for you here. It is the SOTO WINDMASTER. Right now I've got the, I guess you could call it the fourplex. I got a triplex, which is a little 3 arms. This I'm calling the quadplex because it's got 4 arms, a little bit more stable. But when I'm backpacking, this is my favorite stove to take, the SOTO WINDMASTER. And it works great. Boiling water, I can boil water quickly. If I've got my pot with me, my pan, my frying pan, I can get a low simmer on there to fry up some fish or something else that we brought in for dinner that night, like a steak maybe. But that is a great stove. That's a SOTO WINDMASTER. The next piece of gear on my list is my Ghost Whisperer jacket. I love this thing. It's super lightweight, ultra light. Keeps me warm. I usually pair it with a base layer to stay really warm. But fits me well. It's snug how I like it. It's made out of down. Finally this year I finally got a hole in it. Got a little too close to a stove and burnt quite a sizable hole in there. So now I've got some tenacious tape covering it up. So didn't do the best job because that was out in the field to cover it up real quick. But it is a pretty good hole in there that burnt through. But otherwise I've been using this for 3 seasons now and I'll keep using it. This is a great jacket. There's no reason to change this jacket out. The Ghost Whisperer jacket made by Mountain Hardware. Another one of my favorite pieces of gear I've got bundled up in the stuff sack here. I'm not going to pull it out all the way, but you can see right there. This is a Cedar Ridge quilt. This one is my 40-degree quilt. I've got a 0-degree as well. This one's more summertime. I've actually taken this down to, I think it was around 30 degrees, and I paired with a Mylar blanket and the sleeping pad I had. I was nice and warm, but that is a Cedar Ridge quilt. It is this one's a 40-degree regular and wide. My 0-degree is a long and wide just because I wanted a little bit longer so I could pull it up over me. But this is a great quilt made by a great company, made here in the United States, and I can't say anything else about it. It's just a great quilt. I'm glad I have it. A couple trips I've been on recently, car camping, I went a little bit old school, went retro, whatever you want to call it. And I brought out my Mountain Hardware sleeping bag. It's the first sleeping bag I bought for backpacking. You know what? I wish I would have brought the quilt the last 2 times I brought that out. So this quilt right here, this 40-degree, I've got a 0-degree Cedar Ridge quilts. They're awesome. Probably my favorite thing to use to sleep with are these quilts. Last but not least on my favorite gear of 2019 is this right here, the 6 Moons Design SKYSCAPE Trekker. This is my favorite tent that I've used this year. I've used the Haven Tarp, which is a great tent. I've used my Lunar Solo, which is also an awesome tent. But I keep coming back to this tent right here. The SKYSCAPE Trekker is perfect for 1 person. It's long, it's tall enough that I can sit up there. I've got a ton of headroom. I can move around at night. I can roll over. I don't feel like I'm gonna hit a wall or two like you do where you feel confined in some one-man tent. But this is it. This is my favorite tent of 2019. I've got a nice little overview of it. Check that out. I'll put a link in the cards. But this tent has been great for me. I've used it on quite a few trips. Easy to set up. Instead of taking trekking poles, because I usually only take 1, I bring the poles that go along with it, so it can be set up with the carbon fiber poles. I've been using the 6 Moon Designs tent stakes. Those are working great. And this tent has held up great in some pretty heavy duty wind as well. I didn't feel like it was going to blow away. It's not flapping like some tents would. The way this is shaped, and if you set it upright so the wind hits the front of the tent, it just goes right off. So that right there is my favorite tent of 2019, the 6 Moon Designs SKYSCAPE Trekker. Check it out. Well, that's going to be it for this video. If you like the video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, ring the bell for all the notifications of any new videos I'm coming out, and then leave a comment below of what your favorite gears of 2019. Everybody's different, everybody backpacks a different way, different style, so your gear might be different from the gear that I'm using here. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got a different style, which is a-okay. So until the next one, thanks for having me.